Title. I love what you're doing, giving everybody opportunities to see the legends. So shout out to Rick Ross. Album is great, Title in the building. Thanks for the opportunity. Man, blessings.
One time, happy to see Rick Ross tonight. Been a big fan since the Port of Miami back in 2006. Thank you, Title, for the opportunity.
I'm here to see Rick Ross for the Crown event. Shout out to Title, boss.
Title, I appreciate you guys for letting us come out and go check out my man Rick Ross. That new album is Fueguito, Port of Miami 2. Super, super fire. That Maybach Music 6. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything you gave to the culture. Gang.
10th album, certified classic. Super excited to be here. Thank you, Title, for this interview, this invitation. What can I more say about it? It's Ross. 10 albums, countless classics. Really ready to hear what he's going to say about this album and what work went in it and really see what's going to go on with it.
Shout out to Title. We at the Rick Ross event, Crown, Port of Miami 2. Cuts like Bogus and Nobody's Favorite. Dope album. I'm glad to have Ross back.
I'm just here at the Title event, Crown. It's about my 6th one. I like to think I'm a vet to this. Been to a few. My first one was Absol about like 8 years ago. But regardless, I'm a big Rick Ross fan. Excited to be here. It's an amazing event. Big shout out to everybody here. Big shout out to Title for putting this together.
Shout out to Title. Shout out to Rick Ross, Port of Miami 2. We here. Shout out to Elliott Wilson. We just here, man. He came with another dope one.
Yeah. Another day at the office. That's my name. What's going on, y'all? Oh, shit, the Rosenthal's up in here. Holla. Title. How y'all doing? New York City, don't be quiet. What's up? Yo, we feel this up. We feel this up kind of nice up in here. Okay. Welcome to Crown. Ooh, say that louder. Let me hear you. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Crown. For the people who know what Crown is, Crown. Can I get a Rosy? Nah, but welcome to Crown. Crown. Before we talk about Ricky, let's talk about me. Elliott Wilson. This is Crown. This is like the Super Bowl of interviews and shit. I talk to rappers and good things happen. And I'm honored. This guy did this once, but now we're on a much bigger platform. Shout out to good folks at Title. Shout out to Scott, ESM, the great production crew. We are being live streamed right now on Tidal.com. Crown. And then the privileged people that are actually in the house, shout out to y'all. Glad y'all came out. It's gonna be a special night. We had a little bit of delay because my man's voice wasn't right, so we pushed it back a day. But you guys still came out. We appreciate you. It's gonna be a good night. I mean, the thing about me is I've been in this for a minute in terms of writing about hip hop and Rap Radar. Rap Radar started in 2009. It's interesting you say that. Like a lot of times, you cover these artists, and I always like try to keep my distance, but I always respected this dude. I liked the way he was moving. I liked the way he was building his catalog. I liked the way he was shutting down the haters and battling the adversity. And he just kept hitting us with the content, like from the Port of Miami original one to Triller to Deeper Than Rap to Teflon Don. BMF. I was at OVO Fest. BMF still, is a classic. Rings off. He's put together one of the most impressive discographies, catalogs of any hip hop artist out there. And if you listen to the new album, he talks a lot about sometimes he doesn't get that recognition. Like he's put all this work in, but when you talk about your favorite rappers, his name doesn't come up. But he's definitely one of my favorite rappers. Is he one of your favorite rappers? You know what I'm saying? So it feels so good that on the eve of on the post release of this Port of Miami 2 to have him on the stage. We're gonna have a great. You excited like that Port of Miami 2? Nah, but I think when you think about it, his lyrical style, how he paints pictures, his ear for music, instrumentals, the beats, the luxury rap, the man is getting better. And also his ability to empower other artists. You see with the MMG movement, what he did for Wale, what he did for Meek Mill. And he continues to grow. Like we were teasing backstage. I was with him at the Fallon taping. He also just dropped a new book. You got to get his book on September 3rd. Hurricanes. I read that book from midnight to 5 a.m. It's really good. He addresses all the controversies, everything. But the beauty of it is that, you can tell one side of your story, but there's still so much more to accomplish. So we're going to talk about that tonight, man. I want you to make the loudest noise for the biggest boss. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Ross!
Justice League, Justice League.
Biggest.
Maybach music.
Rick Ross!
Since everybody want to speak their mind.
Maybach music.
Watching Kanye interview feel like I want to
Hey, the
cry.
TV tape.
For every innocent brother charged with a homicide. Went from battle rap, so now we wearing MAGA hats. Dade County nigga mansions up in Tamarack. Never golfing with the Trumps, and I give you my word. Back to coming out the Trump charging 20 a bird. Another seizure, so I woke up.
Switched up the red. Rosy. Rosy, right off the rip, man. When you follow me on IG, I appreciate that. On the night of your album came out, finally we got this Port of Miami 2. You have been promising it. You know, even when you made Rather You Than Me, you said the next one's gonna be Port of Miami 2. And when I finally posted the album, you in the comments wrote one word. You wrote passion. Why does passion represent the album to you?
I think that's the only reason why I'm still here. The passion I have for the game, my love I have for the game, my impeccable ear for beats, that only comes from one thing, the amount of time I spend listening to production, comparing production, the purpose for it, the reason for the record. What's the point we making this record? You know, is this beat the proper bed, you know what I mean, for this message, for this vibe? So I spend a lot of time, you know what I mean? So I'm never too cool to get in the studio. I'm never too cool, or producers are never too young or never too inexperienced to catch my ear.
What was different about this process for this album for you?
You know, I may have been more direct with certain things. When you listen to I Still Pray, when you listen to Running the Streets, you know, I wanted to bridge, you know, artists like Denzel and A Boogie.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure me being the boss, you never forget the youngsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought that was great the way you sort of, like, look at I Still Pray. You're very personal about, you know, some of your health scare, your issues, but you was revealing, but at the same time, there was still room for other guests to give their perspective. How was you able to achieve that?
You know, I thought it was, you know, the overall picture is bigger than me. You know, when you know you're dealing with artists that could get passionate, when you know, Denzel Curry is an artist that speaks his mind, you know, and I love that. He from my neighborhood. I'm talking about, like, within blocks where I'm from, you know what I mean? So it was only right. A Boogie, I thought, you know, he was most definitely one of those artists that could touch different vibes. I was just a fan of, you know, his flow. Yeah. And when we actually completed the record, I was highly impressed.
How do you push yourself lyrically? Because I saw when LeBron showed love to the album, he was praised you because of your ability to paint a picture. And we expect that from Ricky Rose. Like, you paint pictures with your verses. Like, how have you kept that skill so sharp, and how do you stay on top of that, your approach?
I make no excuses. You know, if you're going to get in the game and do anything, you got to compete with the greatest and the best. I always studied who I was considering the best. So the music I make is most definitely following my vision. You can't expect, you know, you to be yourself and do what you feel the best about and chase something else. So I just, you know, studied the greatest, listened to, you know, visions, ideas, and what I felt was the best coming from the boss. I always, you know, painted those visuals, and I felt they always came out the best.
Yeah, it feels like there's that backdrop, or even addressed it with nobody's favorite. Like, why do you think that sometimes you may not get that recognition that you deserve?
I think when you're going to be number one, that's what you got to expect. If you plan on being number one in your office building that you get up to every day and go to, you can't expect them to hug you and, you know, and catapult you to the greatest. And I feel everybody that's a competitor in this game know Rose a threat. That ain't even something that's on my mind. Now it's just a lot more work for me still to do. It's still work for me to do, and I believe that's why I'm still here.
Yeah. I want to talk about, like, a couple of my favorite records on the album I haven't heard you really address. One is Vegas Residency. You know, that opening verse, that seems like it's a hip-hop quotable. And, like, obviously you address Kanye, but there's a deeper meaning behind it. Like, why was that important to lay that verse down, and what's the message behind that verse?
Because I remember when I first saw Ye in the MAGA hat, I said, damn.
You didn't say, oh. I said, damn.
You got to understand, it's a huge business side of me. I know how to look at things from a personal aspect and a business aspect at the same time. But some shit ain't for sale. And so, you know, when I seen it, I said, damn, you feel me? But no, in no way was it a diss. But I did just, you know, pull his coattail like, damn, you know, we can't move like this unless it's something else you ain't telling us about. You got to fill us in. You got to address this.
So it was a way almost to address your friend, because everybody knows you have great history with that man, like from the early days of battling. I know, you know, your verse on Devil in the New Dress is one of your greatest verses. He pushed you for that content.
Right.
Like, so did you feel like it was just important for you also to communicate a message on the public stage to your friend?
Most definitely. That was my way of letting him understand the importance that he, you know, he holds in this game. He very important to us on a lot of different levels. And that was out of respect, because if he didn't matter, I wouldn't even mention him. You know what I'm saying?
Other favorite is Fascinated, man. That's like, you got 4 verses on there. It's long, it's pain. Like, talk about that. Like, 'cause to me, it's like, you know, Jay-Z gets a lot of props for a record called Allure. And I feel like your record also kind of addresses the allure of the game.
Without a doubt. And, you know, just going directly to the point, I talk about, you know, sitting in the car, shedding a tear. Imagine losing your life, but guess what? I'm still going wherever it is I'm supposed to go. You know what I mean? I may not post it till after I'm gone. You mean? But that's how it is.
Yeah.
So it's like my mind made up. I'm going to do what I got to do. And I feel like to take it to this level and even further, that's something you got to face, address, and put behind you. You can't have no fear of death, baby.
Yeah. But also fascinating, you kind of talk about the youth and how they get inspired. Like, you know, you talked about you came from a upbringing where you had, you know, the beginning, you had 2 parents, you had all these opportunities, but the streets and the allure and seeing that still drew you.
Right. You know, I felt like I almost had to walk a mile to school every day. You know, and you watching people ride by you, windows up, AC blowing. God damn. You know, we gotta work our way up to that level. We gotta get our way to that point. And you know, how do we get there? You know, I'm most definitely a positive person. I want to see everybody win. You know, but like I always say, I don't mind saying this no more. When I was sitting in the classroom, I wanted the answers to all the questions too, but I never had them. You feel me? So I had to make sure I find another way. How I'm gonna be advanced? What am I gonna be advanced in? I don't understand this pre-algebra A equals X. This shit is... And I got a little money now, and I still never had to use pre-algebra.
No, but you do deal with the pain of that. Like you said, candy pain fascinates you young. Like, talk about that. Like, it's hard for some brothers because you grow up in a certain environment, and that street life will pull you in.
Most definitely it'll pull you in. You know, when you wake up and you walk into school and they got on Jordans, you don't. And it's so real, you won't even ask your mom for Jordans. And, you know, I love my mama, you know what I mean? And you could hear that in my records. But she had 2 jobs, and on Wednesday, a 3rd one. My homies down the street had all the video games. I asked them to come spend the night with me. Come spend the night. Put that shit in a garbage bag and come down here. You know what I'm saying? You know, but... You know, that was the desires I wanted. You know, I'm an ambitious person. And so I just told myself I was going to find a way, either way, whatever I had to do, I was going to find a way to put myself in the position to enjoy everything that I wanted to enjoy as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did you do it, Rose? Because, like, you went from Teflon Don, Making Records, Trina. Like, we've seen your growth, like, so many situations where it could have been, like, Tony Draper being the plug for you. Even in your book, you talk about there was a time you ran into Shaq and you was trying to impress him and signed to his label. Like, Talk about those ups and downs, and still like, because we see so many artists even to this day, like, how do I get on? How do I get my opportunity? Like, how were you so resilient? How did you earn that opportunity for that breakthrough?
I really loved it. I really love the game. I really love hip hop music, putting it together, sitting in the studio, painting pictures, expressing myself. I really do. And I feel, that's what basically took me into my situation of my health scare, beginning to have seizures. And it ultimately came from the fact that I wouldn't go to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. I waited, I done worked for something 15 years. As soon as I get an opportunity to begin to see, benefits from this shit, I'm starting to see, I'm gaining fans, motherfuckers actually listening to this shit. That's what drove me the most. You know what I mean? That's what drove me the most. I would get paid to do a 15-minute show. I was on stage 45 minutes. Fuck that. Hold on. Chill. Let's go. I still do that to this day. I still got a point to make. You know what I'm saying? And that's what drove me. And to me, what was so dope about coming in the game is me saying that and looking in people's eyes and knowing they don't believe me. This motherfucker don't believe this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I said, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. It's going to take a little time, but they're going to realize it's a difference between somebody who come here, get a little, nah, fuck that. We got a real reason to be here, and we're going to be here for a minute.
And there's nothing about that direct connection. I know you said it in the Rosenthal's podcast. You said it in the book. Like, can you talk about that time when you first realized, like, hustling was going to be that moment for you, like, the reaction to that record, that changed your life, right?
Most definitely, it changed my life. I got the beat. Let's say my homie gave me a beat CD at 6 p.m. Trina had a performance at 12 a.m. in Tampa, 3 hours away from Miami. I went to open up for her in Tampa. On the way, I wrote a verse. When I got there, I asked the DJ to play the instrumental. I rapped the verse. I memorized it, rapped it. Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the fucking boss.
Yeah.
But I really meant that shit. It's like, I was like fed up with the fuck. And I just remember this one dude, he may have been maybe the end of that little row of chairs, maybe right here. And I just remember the way he looked at me. That motherfucker looked at me. I wish I could send him a goddamn 50-piece of lemon wings.
You give him the 50 piece? Rose?
Yo, I'm talking about, he looked at me in a way I have never been stared at by anybody in the crowd, and I knew every damn hustling was gonna be the record.
Yeah.
And I just said, I gotta execute, finish this, and put it on the street.
So you go from like all these years of not being recognized to then there's a bidding war. But ultimately you signed with Jay-Z. Jay-Z is president of Def Jam. We see your great relationship with Jay-Z. Like, why was that the right move to sign with Jay-Z?
Well, I actually went and seen a few other dudes, and I flew out to Beverly Hills. They drove me up in big fancy $20 million mansion. I walk in the door, and it's Tom Wiley, you know what I'm saying? I forgot I'm like, man, where the hell they got me at, you know what I'm saying? And I ultimately went and sat down with Jay-Z. Rest in peace to Shakir Stewart and everybody else that was there. But I sat down with Hov, and I told him, like, yo, I know this very first record is huge, and I understand what, as a label, y'all may look at this as, but I'm finna be something special. I'm finna get a lot of money out this motherfucker. And, Hov ultimately looked at me and told me, I see what it is.
Yeah.
And we closed the deal.
He was on top of it, like, yeah, make some noise. I remember, like, people don't realize that out the gate, you had very successful albums, #1 albums. That's not an easy accomplishment. Like, I think the first one you did 187,000, and he said Hope called you like 187, nigga.
That's what Hope called me. He said 187, nigga. And that was big for me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for a lot of other artists it may not have, but for me that was big. You know what I'm saying? That was big, and he knew that was big, and he knew that would inspire me. You know what I'm saying? And, I ran with it.
He also gifted you a little thing called the Maybach Music Drop, right?
Yeah, most definitely. We said, we put Maybach Music together. That was something he orchestrated for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the girls singing the drop part, right?
Yeah. Most definitely. That intro, Maybach Music, yeah.
Shout out to that.
Yeah.
Shout out to that, man. You and Meek Mill, man, you always make good music. My other third favorite on there is, it seems like there's a deeper message to it, Bogus Charms. Can you talk about that record?
Most definitely. It's like, just being in the game, it feel like it's real easy to be overnight, but this really ain't nothing you want overnight. And a lot of times you walk around and you see a lot of bogus shit. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to be an example, be a real example. You know what I'm saying? So the Bogus Charms, it just got a little deeper. You know what I'm saying? And so Meek Mill, he most definitely an example of being a young soldier, being a great example. Because in life you will be tested in different ways. They're going to come different angles, but they're going to come. And wanting to be at the top, wanting to be number one, you got to be ready to face it. You know what I'm saying? And I think Meek a great example of that.
Absolutely. One more powerful record that involved Jay and Meek was the What's Free record. Like, can you bring clarity to that? Because I heard that there's like multiple versions of that record. Was it your record, the Meek Mill What's Free? That Jay,
the very first version, it was my record. A record I had Puff get real emotional on her.
Oh, Puff was on it?
Yeah, I had Puff on it. And when I had Meek listen to it, I gave it to Meek, and, he came up with some different ideas, and he ultimately hit me, Rosy, I need that for the, I said, it's all love, you know what I'm saying? But when it did hit the street, I did get that call from Puff, why my voice ain't on there, Rosy?
And then Jay went in and gave like a multitude of bars to that thing. What'd you think of that?
Man, I love Jay for that, you know what I mean? Just embracing it and really holding Meek down, you know what I mean? That was the record Meek really wanted to hit the streets, you know what I'm saying? And Jay laced him in. It was real dope.
But why you want to give that up? Because some people feel like, well, that What's Free would have fit great in the pocket of this Port of Miami too.
It may have, but Meek Mill, my little brother, and it was time for him to come home after, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Him coming home after serving time, and it was really more about him painting his picture, bigger, even more than mine. So one time for Meek Mill.
Absolutely, one time for me. All right, I want to put this to bed. This Maybach Music 6, this little controversy. Why did you decide not to use Pusha T's verse on the album?
Because ultimately it came down to, would this help move forward and us get some real niggas together in the future? And I ultimately felt it wasn't the time yet. Me putting the record together, I believe that showed you motherfuckers what I wanted to see. Rosé wanted to see Weezy and Pusha on the same record because I felt they done made whatever points, whatever they wanted to say, they got it off their chest now. It's time to move forward now. I understand the competitive sport. I understand ain't no better feeling than crushing competition. But the situation them two legends in, they already said it. It's time to move forward. And that's what I would love to see. And that's why I attempted to put the record together. That's why I waited to the last minute. But I most definitely left enough time for the conversation to be made. And out of respect, you dig? But, the love for me is they both cleared the record. That was the big picture. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They both cleared the record. So now it's just about, hopefully in the future, that'll come to pass.
Were you disappointed? It seemed like Push's verse might have been kind of going at Drake. Were you disappointed that he took that approach lyrically?
That wasn't the way I really felt. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure others may have felt that, but it's real easy when you a shooter, you could shoot. But like I said, that's something Pusha Rosé wouldn't really be a part of. Drizzy, Wayne is my family. Same way when I was on Pusha album, it wasn't about. It was about us on some get money shit. You know what I'm saying? He know what Rosé love. He know what Rosé love him for, and I love him for being a dope lyricist. He know I've been a fan of that. He know I've been a supporter of him.
Yeah.
And he know it's real.
You said in the book you helped him get connected with Kanye for good music, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, I'm sure that was the power move they made, but I brought up Pusha name to Ye when we was overseas in the studio, and I was woo, 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 you know? And I was just happy to see that shit come to fruition. So that lets you know Rosé been a fan, and that's been my dog.
But what's your take on that? Like when people do that kind of verse, like it seems like would you ask Pusha to change his verse, or is that something that doesn't enter your mind?
Well, just me being a shooter myself, me being somebody And when you a shooter, it's easy to make it clear when you come into somebody. It's real easy.
Yeah.
But if your mind made up that somebody dissing somebody, you would always be able to find something that's you feel is directed towards them. And when I sat back, Pusha did a verse, and he know Wayne my family, he know Drake my family, and he know how we rock. He didn't know Wayne was on the record, so when I listened to it, I just listened to it. Pusha pop shit on every verse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's not necessarily you hear something from him and he shooting at nobody. He just a shooter, period.
Yeah. But getting back with Drake, like you said, like how important was that and how good did that feel? And like what's different in terms of you guys interacting maybe back a couple years back? Like is there any difference in your interaction?
Yeah, of course. Of course there's a difference because when you live by codes, you move by certain fundamentals, that's the love and the respect you get from the streets. That's what you get from your peers when they know you move a certain way. And it's like when Drake and Meek was in the middle of their differences, I always knew the time would come that we would put this behind each other. It's a difference from the street shit y'all see when this is niggas get money making music. 9 times out of 10, they don't even know each other. They've never seen each other. It's a misunderstanding. A nigga backstage, shoes got stepped on, and then, hold up, boy. Niggas don't, you know, and that's how it is. I done been a part of that many times. So at this point, I know how to be the bigger brother. I understand. You understand? And when motherfuckers speak their mind, now we know how to move on. Let's get back to the record. I want to see, you know, I've been saying this a few times. I want to see Drake, Weezy, Pusha, Kanye on the record. I picked the production. Now, we could do the shit, the rapper shit, and wait 3 years and shake hands on a red carpet somewhere else, or we could move forward and get straight to the business, you know what I'm saying, and do something dope for the streets. Because we all love the homies, and we know what Wayne, we know what Young Money, we know what Drake, we know what Pusha mean to the culture.
Did you speak to Drake about that yet? Do you think he would be open to that sort of reconciliation?
You know, I feel like time, it'll present itself.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like the same way I first sat down with to bring Meek and Drake together. I felt this shit. As soon as we sit down, this shit, we gonna smoke one and hug. Niggas gonna be drinking Bel Air. You know, that's just how I felt. And the time wasn't right yet. But once it presented itself, here we are. We back. You know, so shout out to Drake, shout out to Meek Mill, being great examples for the next set of youngsters that's gonna want to get to the business, get to the money, and make hit records.
Yeah, I was able to be make some noise for that. It's all good. I was able to be out at the Toronto, the OVO Fest, and it was powerful to see you, Meek, and Drake on that stage together. How did that feel?
And me being a boss, that's the only thing I want to see. Powerful shit. That other shit, leave that for the little kids.
Donkey shit?
Yeah, that's
donkey shit?
Goofy shit. You know, now if we really got a statement to make, if it's really a huge difference and all that, I could be patient. But when I know the big homies and I know what it is, you know, it ain't nobody will love me see them, you know, get past that.
So no more God forgives I don't?
No, I'm not gonna say that. When it's some real shit, I came up from in Miami and Carol City where my big homie, you know, was featured on America's Most Wanted. And ain't nothing I'm celebrating. I'm just letting you know the shit I seen, it was way different from a nigga backstage and a misunderstanding. You know, motherfuckers got, you know, 3 life sentences right now. When I asked my homie, you know, for some advice, he'll tell me. He said, my biggest problem I had is I never gave a pass. Fat boy, you gotta learn to give a pass. And there's somebody that was accused for 80 homicides. So when you talk to somebody that, you know, invested in your rap career early before I could pay for studio time, those are the big pictures that I'm really looking at. You know what I mean? So if it's not on that level, if it ain't no real street shit, man, we could go sit down. It don't gotta be Checkers. It don't gotta be Wingstop.
Checkers, Wingstop.
We could sit down somewhere, have a bite to eat, and let's move forward. Let's get the streets what they want. You like that plug, don't it? Yeah.
Speaking of street code, R.I.P. Nip Hussle, on his verse, he kind of taps and addresses the whole Tekashi situation. Like, Why'd you decide to keep that on there, and like why was that reflective?
Like I told everybody, I left the record the way it was. You know what I mean? The last time my homie heard it. Because a lot of times I could go in the studio, we could go in the studio, I could record 2 verses. When I get back home, I may have something else on my mind, re-record the last verse, but I wanted to leave it exactly the way it was, other than having it mixed and mastered and put on the album. And other than that, really, it was something the youngsters could learn from. Learn from that. Learn from that. The loudest person in the room don't necessarily mean that's the way to go. You know what I mean? So that's something you could take from that.
So in that way you felt comfortable letting that message be out there?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. How'd you get this guy is elusive, man? This Just Blaze guy. He act like he don't really want to make beats in 2019 a lot. But when Rosy makes the call, it's go time. Like for this big time. Man, how you get Just Blaze to get busy?
You know, for one, we've been rocking for years, and you just got to understand Just. Just is just not your ordinary producer. There's somebody that really loves what he do. When he get in the studio, Just will lock in 5 days in a row on something if he really passionate and love it. And that's what makes him who he is.
Yeah. So how did the Big Time record come about?
You know, that was one of those sitting in the studio, him flipping through beats, every beat. Man, I want that. I want that. I want that. And I believe may have been the 3rd track. And I just sat back and said, damn, this it. You know what I mean? This is the vibe. And, you know, it just came together.
Speaking of vibes, so how does Swizz Beatz become such a strong presence on that record?
That's just me going over to Swizz. We actually was in the studio doing something for the Harlem Godfather type joint. Shout out to Swizz, shout out to DMX. We knocked the record out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harlem Godfather?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Godfather of Harlem. Yeah, the Godfather of Harlem. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Queen Sylvia Rowan in the building, y'all. Make some noise for her. Yeah. And we knocked out a record that was real dope, and I actually played him the Big Time record, and he loved it. And I say, go ahead and talk on that. And man, one take, zone.
He said Rick Ross on the poetry.
I loved it.
Why you love Rick Ross on the poetry?
Man, I loved it because it felt right. You know what I mean? Rosy is a poet. Rosy is a poet.
Also say, yeah, make some noise for that. And it's funny that one of the biggest boasts that he's talking about having your barber come to you get that cut because you're big time.
Oh, man, ain't nothing like that. Shout out to all the barbers in the building.
Yo, my barber's in the building, I believe.
Yeah. Your barber in the building?
Novas. Yeah.
Don't he hit you a couple extra $100 for coming to the house?
I might owe him a little bit.
Yeah. He got you then. He got you. But, you know, that's just some of that hood. That's just some of that hood rich vibe when the barber.
You get serious, too. Like something like you said, I pray somebody tell you about these bumpy roads.
Most definitely.
Only maps to follow is your Bible quotes and all them things your grandmother and your father spoke. I watch your actions, not just captions in the shit you post.
You got to understand, I'm going to just tell you from my point of view. On IG, the chicks with the God quotes, those the ones that offer to give you head first.
Crown.
So if we're going to keep it real, we're going to keep it real. That IG shit, that's another life. You got to be careful watching that shit. Trust me. The shit I see, y'all will pray for Rosé.
So Act the Fool with Wale. That's a really good tune. Nah, but people were surprised though that you started the album with that record. Like, why was that the right vibe to set the record off?
You know why I ultimately chose that record is because it was who I'm thinking about and making the album for. And that record is the record that Gunplay listened to 1,000 times.
Act the Fool.
Act the Fool. And so I said it's Port of Miami too. So it's not just about me, it's bigger than me. Who am I making this for? Who do I want to talk to on this very first record? Gunplay, the type of motherfucker I want to talk to. And so I invite him over. He don't even know what you listening to. Da-da-da-da-da. And then, 2-3 days in a row, he backed that record up so many times. And then I asked him, Gunplay, out of those, give me one. If you only, man, that act a fool, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so what about that? Good question.
Feel me?
Where did
And
that
so-
come from, Rose?
Oh, that was just the way I felt. That was just the way I
many
felt.
bogus billboards?
No, it's just like, yo, it's the biggest boss pulling up. You know what I'm saying? You know what the fuck going on? The biggest. Straight up.
Speaking of Gunplay, though, nobody's favorite. Why was that so important? Yeah, I mean, it's not. He murdered that verse. Like, why was it right to put him on that record, and what was that process like?
Because once again, me being a boss and understanding and defining what a boss is, you got to define loyalty. And regardless if Gunplay sold 20 million records or 20,000, my loyalty is forever to my dog. You understand?
Yeah, make some noise.
Yeah. And so that's what it was about. Nobody's favorite, even if nobody else fuck with you, Gunplay, I do. And it's vice versa. So our love is, endless.
And if you read the book, when the book comes out September 3rd, you talk about, like, a lot of times Gunplay was really that brother that was by your side that, like, through all the ups and downs, he believed in you probably when there's maybe times you may have doubted yourself.
Most definitely. Gunplay, Murdoch, Sam Sneak, those were the ones that really pushed me. Those were the ones that, if I never had a fan, because at one point I never did for years. I had never made a penny. But those are the ones, Fat Boy, they can't fuck with you, Fat Boy. Kill them. You finna kill them niggas, Fat Boy. And I just look at them sometime. Yo, Gunplay, those fucking drugs, man. But you know what? I knew he was as real as it come. His love and his heart was as genuine as it come. And I knew I wouldn't trade him for nothing in the world. And so, I always trusted him. And so I believe that most definitely helped pushing me through, all the dry times.
Yeah. Yes, make some noise. On a more serious note, somebody else I think was always by your side was the anchor was Bo, Black Bo. And it's so much of the album, like from the pendant on the cover, like to me the whole album is like he's the foundation, he's the soul of the album in a lot of ways. Like, can we just from the beginning just kind of break down who he is to the people?
Well, you already know Black Bo is most definitely a Carol City, Miami legend. He a hood legend. That was as real as it get. Nobody never stepped on my dog toes, but more importantly, he was genuine. He invested in motherfuckers he didn't even know if you walked up and if, it was whatever. If you had a dream, he support you. And from day one, I remember I was going out of town, ain't have shit, come back, boom. Homie just threw me 50 grand, boom. Keep going, don't stop.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. But he also then goes on like day to day. He was with you the whole.
Oh yeah.
career.
Is that was my dog. We were so close. When I thought about us in the future, this who I'm gonna be fishing with. Boy, the boat we get, Black gotta sit. It was like that. You know what I mean? So to wake up and my homie was gone, it was like, damn. It was most definitely a different type of blow.
Yeah, so he passed away last year, and then you had your health scare in the spring, and I saw you said then sometime after that you got that fire back, and you went on this run that ultimately led to the finishing of the album. Like, how did you get revitalized? How did you get back in that zone?
Ultimately, I believe losing Black kind of sat me down for a few months. You know what I'm saying? You just want to regroup. Spend more time with the families, all the little ones, all my, my little ones, just wanted to watch them run around. And I felt like the music game was real playful at the time, and that's cool. Enjoy it. When it's time for that,
playful?
Yeah. When it's time for that real shit, that's when I'm gonna step on the plate. You know what I mean? And that's what we did.
Yeah.
That big boy rap. That's what I like to call it. Let's go get that money. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Also, they call it luxury rap. Do you like that title when it says when you make music? Are you trying to paint things in a certain cinematic vibe when you try to push out your music?
When I do paint a picture, it's most definitely I feel like I deserve the best. I feel like you deserve the best. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of where you start at, it's where you finish. It's how you finish. And now I do understand I want it more than a lot of others I done been in the same room with, and that's cool with. If you get to a certain point and you satisfied, and that's cool too. I understand. But it's always something new for me to see, somewhere new for me to go to, and I want to visit it. That's it.
You always feel like no matter how big you get, you still like your thing is to talk that Carroll City hustler talk, like really touch on your experiences and like the people you were around and carry that spirit, that nickel rock rap really much. And like on Turnpike Ike, like talk about that song and like why do you think you are so comfortable in that pocket of sort of addressing?
Because that's what I grew up in. That's what I grew up around. Some of the biggest hustlers in the world. Miami, without a doubt, is, what you consider, it was Columbia, then Miami, and then, it spread it around to the rest of the world. And that's really what the play was in Miami. I really saw dudes that was getting real money. I'm talking about real money. I'm talking about real money. You know what I'm saying? This shit is real. So when I said Noriega, I know Noriega. I wasn't talking about Manuel Noriega. I was talking about the nigga in my hood we call Noriega. You know what I'm saying? And so the way I live now is still minute to 2 or 3 people that I knew from where I'm from. You know what I mean? So when I always, I'm gonna get 50 cars. I want cribs. I seen that. I saw hustlers that was really moving like that.
Yeah. You also talk about, but with that, a lot of times even with your profile, you've been through some tough situations. The situation in Fayetteville with the charges, like, and even getting shot. Like one of the songs you talk about, you be crying in your car, nightmares of dying in my car. Like there were attempts in your life. It was coming out of a birthday party, right, where people were shooting at you.
Right.
And then in the book, you hint that might have not been the only time that you dealt with those sort of things. Like,
right.
What is it like that you get out the streets and you become a famous rapper, but you're still dealing with that type of energy at times?
That's the thing. Once you're in the streets, you never get out the streets. Make sure you tell your kids that. Make sure you let your little ones know that. You never get out the streets. Never. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, you done took actions, did things, been a part of things, been accused of things, and somebody coming home, nephews coming from prison, niggas coming from this and that, and there's always somebody trying to prove a point, so you might have to swat a fly.
Swat a fly? I got to do it to you, Rosy. I see they try to ask you it on these interviews, man. You keep ducking it, man. I need the top 5 Rosy albums in order. Can we do that? Woo! Let me give you the choices. We got Port of Miami, 2006. We got Triller, 2008. Deeper Than Rap, 2009. Teflon Don, 2010. God Forgives I Don't, 2012. Mastermind, 2014. Hood Billionaire, 2014. Black Market, 2015. Rather You Than Me, 2017. And now we got Port of Miami 2, 2019. So, okay, here's it. It don't have to be an order, the top 5. There's 10 albums. We're going to do 5 in no particular order. We got to put the new one, Port of Miami 2, in there. So I really just need 4, Rose. What are the other 4 that belong in the top 5? Now let him get out of it.
Like I told y'all at the beginning, of this interview, it's a business side of me and it's a personal side of me. So it's different ways you can look at this. It can, yo. The way you projected your voice, you really meant that. Who said that?
Excited.
What's your top 5?
All right, Port of Miami. She said Port of Miami. Teflon Don.
I'm with that.
Oh, we're talking about that. Yo, I got a question about that. All right, time out. Triller. Yeah. right, Rosy. Honorable mention. What you got? Honorable mention. One more. But he lived up to it. Yeah, make some noise. All right, Rosy, let's get to that though. You like her?
I want to tell you this. Your future bright.
I'm gonna let the fire rock. She made a good point. One of the most interesting things in the book to me is. All right, all good. All right, back over here. It's Crown. It gets live. You talked about when you first stepped out was Albert Anastasia, right? And you said Puffy went crazy at you because he's like, "How you gonna put this MC Hammer record on a mixtape?" So talk about your mind state and why MC Hammer, BMF, and I think even Super High was on the Albert Anastasia mixtape before it made Teflon Don.
What I believe it really was I was making so much music at such a fast pace. I stacked up so much music. When I sat down and played something for Puff, he was like, "Yo, what you finna do with this?" I'm like, "I'm finna put this shit on a mixtape." Nah, man. You know, basically let me know you got to put this shit on an album, man. I'm like, I just put an album out 10 months ago. Well, fuck that. We got to put another one out. And so basically, you know, that's what I did. I stepped on the gas a little bit at Def Jam because the records I leaked, BMF, MC Hammer, you know, they took off in the street so fast. Ultimately, I put Gucci on MC Hammer. Yeah, he laced me. And, you know, we put the album out, and it felt good. It felt
then
good.
it got a little crazy even down the road. Like, talk about Rich Forever and why we got that. It seemed like that time you was in a real dispute with Def Jam at the time.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't no bad blood. It wasn't no bad blood at all. But what it was as a team, you got to get on the same page with the label. Because you need all the shit, every motherfucking resource they have focused on your shit. That's what you want as an artist. Exactly. Shout out to Sylvia. You know I got that. You know what I'm saying?
Boss.
But so, and at the time, the timing wasn't right. But I had Rich Forever finished and ready to go. So I told the whole squad, you know, I'm finna put this shit out. You know, and I did. I dropped it. Bam.
But again, it was like, don't do that. The quality
Of course.
is too high for a mixtape.
Of course. But I just was always one of those that could put those records together, and I felt like it wasn't no problem.
Can we get Rich Forever on these DSPs, these digital streaming platforms? Like, Tyler, we need that, Rose. We need that. We gotta clear whatever has to be cleared. We need that Rich Forever, man.
You know what? Me and Hov may have to sit down and have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? You know.
That would be a beautiful conversation.
Boss, I'm sure it would.
I'll come by if you want me to stop by.
Why not?
Get everybody some water. Make sure everybody good.
Why not?
Some extra Wingstop. Putting this book together, man. You got with the guy who did the book with Gucci Mane. Like, I know how private you could be about certain things. Like, talk to me about that process, man. Like opening up, because you said yourself you haven't even looked at it, right? At this point.
I haven't read the book, not at all. And you know me.
But it's really good, Rick Ross.
Is it?
Really good. Yes, it's really good.
You think it's gonna sell?
Oh, that's a bestseller. Come on, that's a bestseller. Definitely. I'm getting it.
I gotta be honest. My homie Neil, who wrote the book, I thought he was an agent. I thought he was undercover. I did. So the first 6-7 months he was around me, he may have got 2 pages worth of shit from Rosy. And
happened to me once.
Yeah, you gotta understand, you know, the type of shit he was asking, I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
It took time. It took a little time. And then, you know, we got on the same page. And I pretty much just approached my life like a film, the film it is. And I just laid it out. And, you know, he did a great job translating the way I felt about certain things. And September 3rd, I think we're going to do something dope.
Yeah. You said pick the 20 best scenes of your life, in a sense, right? People advice of sharing their story.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Pick the 20 best scenes of my life. You know, and let's put them down in chapters. You know what I'm saying? And it's dope.
I thought it was interesting also you address all the controversies in it, like when people were trying to tear you down about correctional officer controversy, and you said in some ways you felt like you didn't handle that right at the time. Like, can you talk about that?
Because, you know, me, where I'm from, you know, the way we move and always been certified, highly respected. Everybody that know me where I'm from, you know, they know it's the boss. When I say boss, they know I meant that. They know it come with that. They know I accept whatever come with that. And dealing with the internet and different places and different things was different. And I understood. A lot of people didn't understand the big picture of how we was moving, and my homies that was going to federal prison and the indictments that was coming down and the, you know, the things you have to do. You know, it was just a lot of different things that I understand. But I felt I was going to paint the picture for people to really know how we get down, how we hustle, the goals that we, you know, we make. And, you know, me still being here, I think people understand when I say a hustler, every day I'm hustling, they know what it is.
Say tied in. I know one thing Biggie you said about like with the book, like you guys said something about how you thought that this would like bring you some sort of peace or a full circle moment, right? Here you make this album, Port of Miami 2. It's a tribute to the first album you made. You write this life story, this memoir, sort of, you know, talk about your whole life. Like this gives you some closure, but you said it kind of just did the opposite. It just kind of reignited the fire, and like you feel like there's a lot more for you to accomplish.
It is. It is. When you talk about writing your first memoir, film companies already want to license it for a film before the book is even, you know, released. It just lets you know it's a lot of different things. If you're an artist, if you have things that you want to express, the stuff that you want to see. And I'm a person that love to create things. I want to be a part of, you know, something that's dope. Films. So 2020, we're going to launch my film company. We're going to do some different things. I want to do some shit with TV. Yeah.
Reminds me, you have a great quote in the book. I don't know if you remember saying it. You said, you don't fear death, you fear unfinished business.
It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. You can't fear death. I think you got to get over that. Being the man of the house, you got to fear. You can't fear death. You got to be the protector. You got to be the provider and the protector. When that noise start outside, you got to tell them, you stay here. I'm finna go out here, goddamn. And whatever you walk outside with, whatever, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? But you got to let your woman know you stay in the bed, keep forensic files on, and I'll be right back.
But why do you fear unfinished business?
Because ain't nothing like that. Imagine if Rosy would have stopped chasing my dream. I wouldn't have never bought the businesses that, you know, in our black, a lot of times they turn, you know, in my community, they turn their back on us. Yeah. But now you know, we own a lot of different things. Better believe it. You know, and
make some noise, be quiet.
And so I tell you right now, whatever it is you do, your dreams come true. If you thread eyelashes, you can fucking turn that into some fucking, and trust me, I'm the same one that didn't learn pre-algebra.
Before we get out of here, you kind of get a big teaser. Like, if you read the book is very revealing. Like I said, Rosy touches on a lot of all the controversies, all the hot talking points, but then at the end he goes, makes a boss is not the stories I tell, it's the ones I don't. So you imply that there's still so many other layers and so much other content we haven't really gotten to.
It's things that I would never repeat till the day I die. And I made sure I put that in the book. It's not what I say that make me a boss. It's what I don't say that make me a boss.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll take some quick questions before we get out of here. Just a couple questions on the way out. We'll get some microphone. Yeah, he was ready. Yeah, he jumped to attention, man. All right, we'll get your mic. 1 second. 1 second. Do a quick one. Yeah, you might not need a mic. Give me a mic. Let's do it real quick.
I don't need no mic.
All right.
Oh, you gonna hold it? All right. Yeah, I ain't need no mic. I can project. Yo, Renzel, first off, thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. I know personally because my research of you that you do a lot of investing into franchises and other businesses and stuff. So my question is, Have you ever thought about investing in, the technology industry because there's so many black shooters that are coming into that industry and making noise?
Man, I would love to. Once the right, the right situation present itself, I would love to.
Is that your field of profession, my brother?
Shoot or shoot. What you mean?
Okay.
Shoot or shoot.
Well, guess what? I'm gonna have you step right over to the side.
Oh no, we gonna talk.
Yeah, we gonna swap it up. Yeah.
But that reminds me, shout out to you, Hope of the Bill, but that's one thing though.
But hold on. Since you tech, I need you to make a few calls and have all your tech homies posting my new album and shit everywhere.
Yeah. That reminds me though, like before we talk about the future, you went to this thing like you said where you had the battles with the blogs and everybody taking shots at you, but then you and your team, including like Spiff TV, like you guys really pioneered a whole new way to document the behind the scenes and the content with the video teasers. Like talk about how you guys went from like, how you went from kind of the internet taking shots at you to like providing all this dope content in a very like innovative way to the internet.
Because you deal with it you deal with everything face forward. And that's basically what we did. Let's say if the blogs want to have a negative opinion about us, well, let's create some content that the blogs will appreciate. And we're going to make sure the blogs understand our value. We're going to make sure the writers understand our value. If it's other artists or any labels that we have issues with, we're going to make sure they understand our value. And we're going to also let them know how easy this shit is for us. It's because we love it. Other motherfuckers got to get up, and for them to take a selfie, it take 4 hours to lay that shit out. I don't do that shit. I don't even like, come on, man. Psh, fuck that shit. Post it. You know what I'm saying? Let's shoot these virals. Let's lay these mixtapes. Let's drop these freestyles. Let's do what we do best, and let's just take over the game with it. And that was really our key.
Yeah, no, definitely. Next question. Who we got? You want to pick, Rose? You got a pick?
I have a question.
Young lady?
We live in a society now where everything's about clout, about
Can't see.
being...
Where are you? Okay. Up top.
We live in a society now where everything's about clout, being insta-famous, about, just being out there. So what do you advise for people who are the underdog, who have a voice, to stand apart from the people who are instantly famous or do things for, like I said, clout?
I think it's hard to understand this, but being the underdog for me is where I want to be. That's where I want to be. I want that extra challenge, and it's like watching actors. It's real easy when you see those young actors get exposed early, and then they just get the ass sucked out of them. If you one of those people who put that work in, and it take a lot longer, to me, you end up in a much better position. That's just to me. That's my personal opinion.
You kind of don't mind taking the long road, like you said. So if you don't get that first Grammy till like 5-10 years from now, you're cool with that.
Oh man, I got a nice glass spot for that Grammy whenever it comes. Rose don't have no problem with whenever, God is great, whatever it is. I really do it for my fans. I do it for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because if my career was based on my record sales from my first album, second album, I wouldn't be here now. So the streets really determine my impact, you know what I mean, and my value to the culture. You know what I mean? So that's what's important to me.
And you like to pull out the Vacheron.
I saw you tweeted it a few times. I said I gotta make sure my homie know we really do this. You know what I'm saying?
I was trying to tell you what I needed for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yellow Man Ace, we go back. Quest line. Next question. We got like two more. Rose's busy.
Much respect to the biggest. Rose, we right here.
Yeah.
So I'm of Ethiopian descent, and I'm first generation. A lot of people out here, black people, a lot of first generation. One of the things that resonated the most with us, the most memorable thing for us was you said something like, when you in the jungle, you don't lock the lions out. you let the lions in. Lock the lions in. So we use that a lot. Woo. We run that back a lot when we motivating each other, doing things. We might send somebody a little 5-second clip. So what necessarily was on your mind when you dropped that? I know it's a little interview and all that, but it was deep.
What was on my mind was really, it was a situation where I felt somebody that really used to take advantage of artists when they came to different markets. I came to the city and I watched kids spend their money and wait at a concert for me to get there the whole day. And when I got there, I was locked out by, supposed to have been, somebody from the community that was, and I didn't understand that. Where I'm from, my homies went to prison buying gifts and bringing concerts to the community for the kids. So I said, this is something totally different. And if you wanted to make a point to me, you bring me in the cage and lock me in, and you approach me. And then that's when I'm gonna show you the difference between somebody that really live and really mean what they say versus somebody who ain't. And it's a big difference, It's a huge difference.
Is it crazy that people can apply that a different way and use it as motivation? Does that excite you?
It most definitely could be applied to something positive, because you're gonna be challenged. And like I say, anytime you want to go get some money, anytime you want to do something big, anytime you want a promotion, you will be challenged. You know what I'm saying? When I was, like I said, one of my nicknames was Windex William. When I was just vacuuming doing the windows. Yeah, the real money was on waxing. I couldn't wax yet. You know what I mean? But you got to work your way up. You got to grind your way to the top.
Yeah. You want to do two more?
Let's do 3 more.
3 more questions. The boss has spoken.
Me right here? Yo, Ross, what up, man? Right here, fam. Oh, damn, that's Black Youngster, though. All right, quick question. I just want you to talk about that vibe and that connection you got when you linking up with Justice League, man, because whenever you link up with Justice League,
good
that
question.
Back music, even from going back in the day, it's always something special, grand, big.
Justice League.
Man, shout out to the Justice League. That's Florida, them Florida boys, just like myself. And it was just one of those things I'll never forget. The very first time I went to their apartment, it felt like it was 7 to 8 of them in a 2-bedroom. And I pulled up to the end of a road. It was dark. The lights were, the street light was. I said, damn, this shit, man. But I walked in there, and when I tell you the passion, everybody, it was just one of those things. I knew these dudes were special. I knew I wanted to develop a bond with them. I knew they had a passion for music the same way I did. I wrote records right then, recorded records right then. They began mixing and adding things, and I was like, I want to, record with them more than, anybody right now. And that was just the feeling they gave me. And I feel like as an artist, that's what you got to look for. Who's going to bring the best out of you? And once you find that, that's who you need to make sure you build that infinite bond with.
Yeah. You touched on it earlier about your ear for beats. Like you said, a lot of it is just, what do you think the key is? Like you really will sit with a track and really dissect it. A lot of times people don't like a track. They'll hear it for a couple seconds, like, oh, that track doesn't work for me, and like move to the next one. Like,
when you bring up listening to a track and not liking it, I'm going to repeat something I rarely do when it comes to Jay-Z, me and Jay-Z conversations. Me and him had a conversation, and what he told me was, Rosy, I don't listen to the beat for how much I like it. I listen to it for how much I can make it work. So that's something I would never forget. So that's just like, when you listening to something, don't always be critical. Open your mind up. Let it just flow through you. Something may touch you, and you may make something that you could never fathom.
So much challenge yourself as an artist. Absolutely. All right, said 2 more. Oh, we got Black Youngster in the building.
I want to ask the last one. I want to ask the last one right now, but he can ask the next one. So this is the last one after him. Is this your last album, bro, or what?
Nah. Y'all answer that.
Who's taking us out? Who's going to take us out? Last one, last one.
Not on.
Who's getting that last one? Pick, Rose. Who you want?
Right here?
The homie's focused. We'll go back to homie. We love the ladies, but we're going to let homie close it out. He said, really? I'm in trouble. Right here.
Y'all done got the right one to close it out. I go by the name of Courtesy. I'm an artist, and I want to know what's the pressure do you deal with where people are always asking you to try to get on? Because I know like you get a lot of pressure from a lot of artists like me who just wait for the opportunity to wait to meet somebody like you. What's the pressure you go through, how to deal with somebody who's like, yo, I want to get on, I want to get on. Because when I came here, I ain't going to front. I said, I'm going to be in that line for 3 hours to make sure that he sees me in the front row to give him the USB drive that I have, because I always looked up to you how you market and promoted yourself. And instead of giving CDs, I'm like, I got a USB drive.
Here we go.
This what you cause an artist like me. Because nowadays people be seeing CDs, and I be telling people like, listen, that shit's done with. You gotta know how to market and promote yourself. When you get the opportunity, you gotta come in.
Give it to my DJ, Sam Sneak, right there.
Yeah. So what I did is that I said to myself, I'm gonna see Rose today on that USB drive. I'm gonna put my newest project. And when I did with my engineer, I told him, give me every song with an open verse. So when I meet somebody, when they hear that project, if you happen to like what you see,
great question.
Hopefully, God willing, you're gonna get on that one of them verses. Also,
yo, you gotta give that nigga a round of applause.
Yeah, that question. One more question.
Also, what I did is that, hold on.
You got it in. You made the plug. You made the connect. You passed. One more question. You good. One more. Let a lady close it out. One of the lovely ladies. Let one of the lovely ladies close it out. One of the lovely ladies.
Thank you again for your time. I have a question. All right, so
You have the last questions. Good?
Start all over. I'm right here. If you could start all over from day one, what would you be doing? I know you've traveled the world. I know you've seen other things. And rapping, you can't say that. That's not an option. What would you like? What would Rick Ross be doing right now?
Repeat that one more time for Rose.
All right. So, I know you've traveled the world. I know you've seen a lot of different things. I know you've probably experienced a lot of different things. If you could start over and you could start from day one, what would you be doing that's not rapping? Based off
a different career. If he went a different career path.
What would you be doing?
Entertainment lawyer.
You know, I'm sure my ambition would have still been the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My ambition would have still been the same. What exactly I would have been doing, I'm not sure. But I would have been trying to get it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think honestly, your destiny was to do what you're doing now, making this music, making this great content. See on there? Right? The D-Wade joints? See them D-Wade joints? Ricky Rose there?
Yo, shout out to D-Wade, Whale Wade. This that Rick Ross, D-Wade, Dope Boy collaboration.
Woo! The plug-in. Rosy, I'm mad at you though. I heard like a couple of my London connects, man. It's like there's a couple albums songs that didn't make the album. You had quiet down. You had 21 Savage joint. You had a Cardi B joint. And you had another joint with Wale that didn't make the album. Why did they not make the album? And can we get a deluxe or something, Rose? Can we get
You
something?
never know. You never know. I was sitting back there with the team today, in the album Feeling So Good in the Streets. And we gonna, really, push it all the way out. We gonna really deliver the visuals and really grind the album out. And we may update it with a few, different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just to keep the streets going.
You love the reaction so far to the album and everything.
Oh, man, most definitely. I had a couple homies hit me on I shedded a tear behind that record, and I got homies that don't hit me about that. My dogs don't hit me for that. That ain't what I do it for. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we appreciate the art, man. We appreciate the consistency. I appreciate your friendship. Thank you, Rick. Make some noise, Rick Ross.